Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Dubre Ramotrum. Dubre Dubre Oprah. Someone out there knows what I am saying, and I'm not going to say who it is, because I'm trying to say good morning in another language. And then here's another one. Zhao Shanghao, and there's somebody else out there know what I'm trying to say in that particular language. But I know what I can say this one easy. Como talivu, como está. I think como sava. That may be, if como sava, it's from a Romance language, but it may not be correct. And then the other one is, let me see. Let me try it again. Assalamu alaikum. Now we know what that one means. Good morning, good afternoon. Habariako. Somebody out there knows what I'm trying to say. But what I'm saying to my viewing audience is good morning, hello. I'm trying to get my greetings correct so that I can say my greetings, and I'm in 10 different languages. So I tried several just now. But I guarantee this. This is my guarantee to those who are listening to me, those who tune in to my YouTube station. I guarantee that by the end of this year, 2024, I will be able to say, hello, how are you? I will be able to greet you in 10, I promise, watch, I promise you this. I promise you I will be able to greet you in 10 different languages. Yes. I have I have a love for linguistics. I love studying languages. I love studying language. If you begin to read my books, and especially if you run into, I have a series. It's called Musa Corner, which it's sort of good for a youthful audience. But I do have a series called Musa Corner, and I delve into many different languages. In other words, I do a academic type of presentation. In other words, I have done research, and I have written papers, written books on different languages. I had a concern with one of my concerns was the beginning of language. When did language start? And from there, I began to do a total research on language. And as I said before, I have a series called Musa Corner, and in that series, I specifically deal with different languages. In that series, I deal with Russian, I deal with Chinese, I deal with Hindi, Greek, Arabic, Amharic. I have written, if you go to my collections, I have done research on I have done serious research on over at least 10 languages, 10 different languages. I have done actually broke them down, gone into the grammar, alphabets, and all that. And so I have a love for linguistics. I love the idea of language. Now, some of my books I would suggest that if you're not an adult, that some of my books perhaps would not be for you to read. What I'll do when I get ready to, I have what would probably be called adult-only type of reading. It's not that I try to get into pornography. It's just that I deal with real issues and I deal with real language. And so what I'll do as I read from my books, I will give a warning to my viewing audience that sometimes I get into some very deep discussions about reality. And so, I use the language of that reality. But at this point, I haven't come to one of my books that's for adults only. Right now, what I'm going to do is read from The War Has Begun. As I indicated to you, my audience, this book, The War Has Begun, this is a novel. It's futuristic, and I deal with political and sociological issues which we are familiar with as we in our own present day society. So what I'm going to do, I'm looking at page 12 of my book, The War Has Begun, and I'll begin my reading in the middle of the page of page 12. Okay. The tentacles of black power had mellowed. White power had run its course. And then its trip was over. Notwithstanding, it would be the blacks who would have to deal with the onslaught. For indeed, the Martians were coming. The story of life only repeats itself over and over. The remedy for social havoc has always been the same. Because the truth is like an eternal idea which dances forever throughout the infinite cosmos. The pharaohs of the earth lived with a false sense of security, unable to realize nor to accept that everything comes from God. The earthly pharaohs were delusional, and these delusions brought tears to the eyes of God's angels. The falsehoods persisted, and the noble earthlings became demonized to be advocates of deceit, while they continued to argue and wrangle falsehoods and duplicities. However, all this rambling only lasted a short while, because eternity is quite a long time. If you say the sky is blue when it is red, it does not alter the reality of the color of the sky, because the sky is still red, just like the truth. The truth is the truth. The earthling in general became like Nazi Germany in Hitler's time. The ideas of freedom and democracy were just pastimes, where sentiment was the prime patron. Rational rumination had become a thing of the past, because the pursuit of sodomy and related depravities had created sociological vicissitudes. Of course, physiological social abnormalities like intersexism, the Swire syndrome, and the like had particular relevancies, because although these bulks were seeming abnormalities in the traditional sense, their presence derived from a divine source. This is where the problematical evolves only to be asserted into the cyclical development of the social establishment and the body politic. The earthly protagonists had ears, but they did not listen. They heard, but they did not make prudent pronouncements. So what did this mean to Malcolm Mwangi? The world was not as complicated as it seemed. In the world that he had known, it was mandated that one thing led to another. Simple. If you open your eyes, you see. If you close your eyes, you see nothing. What is nothing? It must be something. Of course, it is something. It is the darkness. If it is, then how can it not be? Then the contradictions come, followed by the acts of indecency. I'll stop here. That's from my book, The War Has Begun. Now, as I had indicated to you, this book takes the story that this book writes about. It takes place in the future. And what has happened, we have a intelligence agent of sorts. And what has happened is he has a relationship with the Martians. He has a relationship with the Martians. The Martians are set on invading the Earth. This particular intelligence agent Malcolm Mwangi. He has invented a time machine. The time machine can go in the past, but it cannot go into the future. Now, you have these Martians. Now, we're talking 200 years from today. The Martians have already invaded the Earth. And what they want to do is to get Malcolm Mwangi, the scientific intelligence agent. They want to get his formulas. How did he invent this time machine? The time machine can only go backwards. It cannot go forward. But the Martians have not become that advanced, and they find out about Malcolm Mwangi. Now, the Martians have already been observing the Earth all along. And then we got an interaction between Mwangi, the scientific intelligence agent, and the Martians from Mars. Now, these Martians are not from the planet Mars. They are from, see, Mars has 2 moons. The planet Mars has 2 moons. These Martians are an advanced civilization on one of the Martians' moons, and they have made it to Earth, and they had integrated into the civilization of the Earthlings. That is called, that one is called The War Has Begun, because what is happening, the Martians and the Earthlings, the Martians and the Earthling, or they are at war. Now, we're talking about the future. I get into some very serious and fantastic concepts in this particular book. I enjoyed writing it because it gives me a chance to just use my imagination and just to say all kind of things. So I think maybe, I don't know. Okay, now, if you have been following me, you know that I've written and published over 500 books. And what I'm trying to do is to sell my books. Now, I may come back to this particular reading, this particular book. This book is The War Has Begun. This is a novel, a futuristic novel. And the thing is, I'm working on this novel, and it will be ready by the end of the year. So I got 3 projects. This book, The War Has Begun, 2 volumes entitled Let's Talk. So I got 3 major book publications that I'm working on and hoping to have these, well, I should have these books all finished by the end of the year. And I'll, on occasion, maybe I may read some things from these books. But like I have so many books in all genres that I may just go from one book to another book just to give you some idea of what this book or that book is talking about. So I will get back with you at another time with another book. This is Musa Matt Meacham Jr. signing off on Earth.